This is the Fujifilm XT30 Mark II, and in this episode I'm going to give you 7 to 8 reasons why I won't upgrade from the XT30 Mark II to the XT50. Now, we all know that the XT50 has a slightly different design, right? It's got the famous film sims dial, which is similar to what I'm filming on right now is the XS20. The biggest difference is on the XS20 you can modify it, on the XT50 until now you can't, but I'm expecting a firmware upgrade to basically come in. Yeah, so I think that will be fixed in the future. Yeah, I also think that the XT50 is not a bad camera at all, but the main reasons for me upgrading are slightly different. We've got bigger sensor, we've got IA, we've got 6K video, we've got everything here. So why don't I upgrade from the XT30 Mark II? Well, the first part is the sensor. Right, a 40 megapixel sensor still means it's an APS-C, so you still have the same sensor, just more megapixels crammed into it. And it's not as much the fact that I think 40 megapixels is that bad, but on my past experiences, there are a few things that most people seem to overlook. A bigger sensor doesn't mean by definition a better low light capability. It's kind of a myth actually. Smaller sensors like Micro Four Thirds have better low light capabilities. Yeah, it's true. You wouldn't believe it, but it's true. You also get much bigger files. And when I rented a Fujifilm medium format camera, you can see the episode here, I basically really found out what it means if you have more megapixels. Okay, that's 100 megapixels medium format, so that's huge. But if you want to import it, even when I had my Sony a7R III, 40 to 50 megapixels, you notice that it takes its toll. It takes far more storage, things go a little bit slower. You might even have to upgrade your PC. For me, that's one of the things I don't like. I like a simple, clean photography experience, not where I have to worry like, Jesus, it's going to take me ages to upload or whatever. Yeah, so also one of the reasons here is that I find the XT30 Mark II with 26 megapixels pretty decent. It doesn't have to be bigger, and I'm not stating that the XT30 is perfect. Mark II. No, it isn't. But it's still, for me, a bigger sensor doesn't necessarily mean I have to upgrade it. And the biggest lesson I got is when I had this camera. You see the episode here, the Fujifilm XT1. When it comes to photography, this camera is Ossissimo. Really, it's surprising how sharp it is. I can recommend anybody to buy one, right? So for me, the sensor, it's definitely not a reason to upgrade. Now, the second reason is IBIS, and that's actually a reason to upgrade, right? Because IBIS is really something fantastic when you go into low light photography. You don't have to sacrifice your shutter any longer. The IBIS will stabilize, and therefore you can shoot at a higher shutter speed or lower ISOs, whatever way you put it. So I really think that is a great reason to upgrade, but with a bigger megapixel, not for me. I'm filming this on the XS20, which has the X-Trans 4 sensor, so the same as on the XT30 Mark II, but it has the X-Trans 5 processor and the in-body stabilization. And many of us who participated in the polls on the channel here have actually spoken out that IBIS is the most important thing, as you can see here. And many of you are also either not willing to upgrade or waiting for a few things or haven't made up their minds, as you can see here in a recent poll. So if you're interested in participating, consider subscribing. You'll see the notifications coming up when I have another poll, and it will help me greatly tailor-make episodes here, and it gives me good insight. What do you think? The next one here is the artificial intelligence. So the X-Trans 5 processor has various different artificial intelligence modes, mostly to do with subject recognition or subject tracking. And it basically says it applies deep machine learning. Yeah, I'm sometimes a bit confused about this one. Now the XS20 has that as well. And to be very honest, it's definitely something in the future it might work. For the moment, I find it a hit and miss. I just went out this morning to shoot some professional road cyclers, and again, the IA here, even when you put tracking on bikes, it is hit and miss. It's all over the place. It still is in beta mode. So for me, that's definitely not something why I should upgrade, because I think after 2 or 3 generations, it will be somewhat usable. At the moment, I don't think so. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this, because for me, okay, I don't have it here, and I would probably still get the same pictures. Now, reason number 5, all of this, IBIS, big sensor, IA, new processor, needs to be powered. And Fuji has now done one thing which surprised me. They kept this little battery, and they basically said in the XT50, this has 20 50% increased battery life, which to me is, if you want to have IBIS, bigger sensor, artificial intelligence, it will guzzle power, especially for longer times. And what I do notice in my XS20, it overheats. I haven't seen anything yet on YouTube which suggests it, but I'm somewhat skeptical. So if you are out there and you already have an XT50, let me know what your experiences are with the battery life. For me, it definitely is, it's one of the no-goes. If you have that many new features, bigger, powerful, and you come in with the same battery, wow, that is hard to imagine it will be good. Now then there is the video capabilities. Yes, there's video 6K. I have the same here on my XS20, and that's 6K open gate, which means is you can crop, it's great for social media. But basically I'm looking like, who needs 6K? Why? I don't really get it. 4K is more than enough. 1080p can still give you fantastic results. So I honestly don't know why you need 6K on this particular camera with all kind of funky recording limits on it. It makes it completely useless. I wish Fuji would actually think about these kind of things before they implement it. The fact that you only have a side flippy screen, yeah, then I would love to see on the XT50 that they made a hybrid screen which flips up and down and to the side. Then I could say, okay, some thought has been put into it. So I honestly don't understand why even you would shoot video on an XT30 Mark II or an XT50 for longer times. I honestly don't, but that could be me. Huh? Let me know in the comments below. Next one, lenses. And this might sound strange, because if you see Fuji, when you see the lenses that are compatible with their big sensors, so the X8 II series, the XT50s, the XT5s, it lists pretty much all the old native glass, and yet Fuji has released one lens, I think it's the new kit lens, which is specifically tailored for the bigger sensors, which indicates that if you upgrade to any X-Trans 5 camera, you will have to start investing into new lenses that Fuji will most likely release in the future to make use of the sensor combined with the glass. And to me that's definitely a showstopper, because I've got a ton of Fuji lenses like all of us have. They're all first generation and they work fine. All of a sudden they'll work fine on the latest and the greatest cameras here, but Fuji is indicating that you will need different glass. The last part, price. I don't know about you guys, but I've seen here that the latest cameras from most manufacturers seem to start at $1,500 US. And I find that really expensive for the cameras we're getting, you know. This camera here, the Lumix GX80, cost me 265 used. Great camera. The XT1 cost me like $300 or something. Great cameras. Yeah, so for me, I honestly don't understand why you would upgrade from an XT30, which aside from 6K and IBIS and artificial intelligence and a bigger sensor, is still pretty much valid. Because in the end of the day, a new camera doesn't make me a better photographer.